Hello, and
Hey, how are you?
hey, welcome to the Tech Home Builder Weekly Webcast. I am John Galante, the host of the webcast series, and I'm excited to have Dave Tovissi join me today. Dave and I have known each other for a good long while. I think the last time we saw each other in person, we were having bowl of pasta or two at Il Fornaio in Reston, Virginia.
Good memory.
Yeah. Well, I always remember a good bowl of pasta. So you got two paisans on the webcast today, and we're going to tackle the topic of home cinema and high performance AV experiences and what's in it for builders. But I do want to kick off with an opportunity for Dave to introduce himself and his background in the industry. It's been an interesting journey for you, including stops with retailers and integrators, and love to hear a little bit about that and any work you did with builders along the way in those journeys.
Great. Well, my journey started 35 plus years ago, working out of a little mom and pop 2-channel place. Before there was any video even part of their discussion, there was no home theater. But
builders out there who may not be familiar with the golden era of stereo sales, what's 2-channel place?
2-channel was when all we had was 2 speakers, and we visualized what a 3-dimensional space was. So it was and that experience allowed me really at that time to start educating some of my customers who were builders on what the next phase of the products were. I introduced multi-zone audio to these folks, the first volume controls, the first keypads. So along my career, eventually started working for Sound Advice, which was the largest specialty retailer in the United States. They were acquired by Tweeter, and that's kind of how we first started getting to know each other, being based up in Massachusetts. They were. From there, I left Tweeter and kind of started my own integration business. At that time, I was dealing primarily with the high net worth customers, developers of high-end MDUs. Being based in South Florida, there was a lot of that construction going on. I also did work with some different yacht builders. So I had a lot of experience from retail to being an integrator, and now being a manufacturer of working with different integrators. I feel there's a wealth of experience that I can share with your builder community.
Cool. And tell us a little bit about your gig with Harman. And Harman is part of the Samsung family of companies. Just give us a little bit of an overview of the portfolio as it pertains to this high performance AV space and the built environment.
Yeah, being a part of Harman has been an exciting career move for me. I joined a little over a year and a half ago. And I was tasked with, when they handed over the keys to 6 iconic brands. I run the luxury audio division for Harman. There's many divisions within Harman, from the automotive to our connected home, to portables. What sometimes people only see the JBL brand and they think of us only as a small portable product manufacturer. That's far from the truth. Besides what I do, we do a lot of professional venues. We have a pro audio division. We're in almost 26 different automotive manufacturers. So the brands that we support will end up in all of the specialty cars. So and then of course the Samsung merger acquisition a couple years back allows us to have a lot more insight of what's going on a global perspective. So it's been a great run for me. Been here a year and a half. Been able to get back and meet the customers and the people that like yourself that I haven't been talking to recently.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. So let's talk about where we are here in August 2020. with still most live event venues closed, movie theaters, performing arts theaters, concert venues, all shut down or almost all shut down. And the word is that media consumption has surged considerably with Americans, given the fact that they don't have access to concerts and films and such in other forums. And so, what are you seeing there? Do you have any stats, facts, anecdotes to share with us on media consumption?
Yeah, from a media consumption, we get all kinds of, but the most important thing is from our true customers. We're finding that customers are actively engaged with some form of media 12 to 14 hours a day now. Part of that is because their work days been 12 or 14 hours. And part of that media consumption is just things like we're doing right now, webinars.
Right.
Virtual meetings have become a part of our daily life. And as when I'm thinking of a builder in the future, is you just got to remember that there's going to be people that are going to have multiple uses of their home that at one time was just for staying and entertaining at their home. Now it becomes a place that people work out of. So consumption of that, and you mentioned the concerts and the movies, we're seeing that changing too. I just saw there's going to be a lot with AMC announcing they're going to have first run movies appearing at the home within 17 days of going to the theater. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be changing and almost be simultaneous in the future.
Yeah.
The idea of people getting back out and after 6 months of being quarantined and all of a sudden going to a theater, I don't know. I think people are going to say, hey, I kind of like being at home. I kind of like not having to pay $10 for a popcorn.
Right.
This experience at home has been pretty memorable.
Right. And so the content producers are changing their MO, and whether that's a short-term change or whether that's a longer-term change is an interesting question. Are you going to get first-run films on a regular basis less than 3 weeks after their theatrical release?
Yep.
We saw Hamilton
on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it came a year earlier than I think that they had planned the theatrical review. And I think, there's a whole other source of content that really hasn't played on the mediated side of things in a substantial way. You got HD Broadway, but you could see live theater companies and operators move towards more of a multi-channel approach and not just rely on live audiences for the performing arts too. So it's kind of an interesting.
I think that's coming. I really do. From plays, as you said, and other even live concerts. I think we're going to start seeing more and more availability. We've always had the ability to do pay-per-view, but it'll be a little different now when that may be the only way you get to see these artists.
Yeah, well, it's the only way the artists will get paid.
Yeah, and it'll allow them to keep producing their music. And you mentioned, multi-channel sound. That's one of the things that we've seen as people are spending more time at home. They're starting to listen to their music again, and they're starting to experience for the first time multi-channel audio. There's different formats now. You can listen to music in more than 2 channels anymore. So
yeah. So talk a little bit more about that. So is this for audio listening only, or is this typically in a music video type setting?
It's for both.
Yeah.
So, it depends on how it was recorded. It could be actually recorded in multi-channels. So if you have a processor like is available at pretty much any price level now, you'll have the ability to decode that. And then there's also the ability for products that weren't recorded in multiple channels to actually upmix, to be able to use those speakers that are in your ceilings or in the sides all the time now, instead of only being for an occasional, rear channel effect. Now those speakers are being played almost every time someone's listening to their sound.
Yeah. And is the source streaming content, or is it token-based content?
It's a lot of it is streaming now.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the producers, as they still making hard media, they will be recording it that way. So
Yeah.
even the hard media will have that. And we have processors that decode it. Other manufacturers do as well. So it's a great experience.
Yeah.
And you won't really get that experience at a concert, being able to hear all that in your home.
Right, the fine detail. Interesting. So we talked a little bit about media coming, whether it's movie theaters or live plays coming at different times or in different ways. Is there anything else emerging there? I think gaming is interactive.
Gaming's definitely, yeah. We're dedicating an entire group just to gaming now. So we recognize that the professional gamer is actually working out of their home now, and people are just like the musicians are recording out of their home, and podcasters are doing more and more out of their home. The home really has become not just a place to relax and be with your family, but it's really a part of your everyday life, no matter what career you're in now.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that as a huge opportunity for us, which I assume would become a great opportunity for our builder friends.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about how this surge in viewing and media consumption and some of the changes, how is that affecting the demand for audio, video equipment and accessories? What are you guys seeing out there?
It's going to be hard for most people to understand this, but my business is up considerably through this pandemic. Yeah. And part of the reason why is people have not been going on their vacations. So they've budgeted a percentage of their salary toward that. They're now putting that into their home, as in their home electronics is becoming a critical part of their additional spend because they're around it more than they ever have been. Mm-hmm. So we've seen a huge uptick in different types of product sales. Home theater, absolutely, and it's at all price ranges. It's not just the Uber theaters, which we're known for. JBL Synthesis, one of our brands, known to be the key stakeholder in that business, but it's from entry level on up. People are investing in and upgrading their home entertainment options.
Yeah, and you're talking audio, and I know I've talked to the big three video brands in the last couple months, and they had sold as many TVs in 3 months as they had sold in the whole previous year. So it's both the V and the A that are surging.
And I would think, based on that, is that those panels are going to be put in more rooms than they ever were before, because there has to be multiple rooms in the house to be able to do multiple things. Think about your children being at home and your wife being at home, and you've got schooling, you've got office, you're going to need to kind of minimize the where the people can be. So I really think there's a huge opportunity in the next several years to capitalize on all the things that COVID has brought home.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to an oldie but a goodie that might be experiencing a resurgence. The idea of the dedicated home theater room or home cinema room. What are you seeing out there? It had kind of plateaued or even been sinking a little bit over the last 5-10 years. And some of that's about media consumption habits, and maybe it's just about hitting a saturation level in terms of folks that want to dedicate a space. But is it on the comeback trail? And what do you?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about the home box office being part of the future, right? They're going to be releasing at home, so people want to still entertain. Where they entertain is going to be different for each individual, but we've actually seen an increase of dedicated home theaters now, because there's actually more people at home watching it. The kids aren't going out getting in trouble. They're at home watching movies. They're inviting their friends over to watch movies, and it may be the only place some of their friends could watch a big screen movie. So we're seeing that, but we're also seeing multi-use rooms. So the idea of a dedicated home theater may be, still unique to some folks. The idea of using a extra bedroom or a den for during the day to be a place where you educate the children with distant learning, but in the evening that same room could be a screen could drop down, a plasma or flat panel TV could be on the wall that also now becomes part of the home entertainment or the cinema room. Gaming now is also being used in that same space. So the idea of a dedicated home theater with dedicated seating may not be relevant to everyone, but the idea of having a place to entertain a larger group of people still remains.
For critical viewing and listening too. Yeah.
And now that there's products that you can create, as I said, upwards to 16 channels of individual music or movie soundtracks, these rooms, take on a different look. In the past, it would be a whole bunch of, speakers in the room to take up all your space. But now with the architectural speakers have really taken on some of the principles of our best, professional products. And now there's also these invisible speakers that you don't even see at all. So these rooms could truly be dual use.
Yeah.
And not worry about
have an architectural audio line of speakers.
Yeah.
And
yes,
which brands are those under?
Under the JBL, we have two lines, under the JBL and our other brand, which is Rebel. We just released our JBL Conceal, which is it's an invisible speaker. You just paint right over it and drywall right over it. You can put wallpaper over it. So from a builder perspective, you could take a room that could be, a spare bedroom or an office and have every speaker hidden and be able to still advertise it as a multi-use room.
So you're getting 9.1 zones of sound or more than that. I mean, talk a little bit about some of these formats, some of the immersive formats, because there's been a rapid iteration of them, and I'm betting that a lot of our builder viewers are not necessarily tuned into that. You can't give us the whole history, but kind of what's hot in terms of the immersive sound formats.
Yeah, so at one time, when we were talking surround sound, when the first Top Gun movie came out, we're going to have a new release soon. But it was always 5.1. You'd have, a center channel, two front speakers, and two side speakers or rear speakers, and that was called, 5-channel 5.1. The 0.1 was really your subwoofer. But today, if you go to, any AMC theater, you're the immersive experience. You have height channels, you have side channels. There's a lot more activity going on, and the movie producers and the sound engineers are actually giving individual tracks for those different speakers. So we're seeing many systems now that are 9.1, but using 16 channels, 4 subwoofers, and it's in low budget systems. Yeah, low budget systems. We're not talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars people are spending. We're talking, $10,000, $15,000 projects that are including, multi-channels.
Yeah. Would that be just the equipment cost, or let's talk like in
when I use my numbers, it's usually related to my products, which is speakers and electronics. It doesn't include the television or but the idea of where do you put 16 or 9 speakers in a room, it can be overwhelming. But with these hidden architectural solutions, they could be in the walls and ceilings, and they would not take any space in the room.
So let's talk about let's kind of get to the punchline for the audience here. Is what's the builder's play on this? I think historically, AV's been of high interest just because it's been a super in-demand category in the luxury market. It has not been as high of an interest area for builders in the high volume market. Some of that's about margins on things like TVs, but maybe the margin situation, the margin sharing for the builder on the audio side of things represents a bigger opportunity. And one of the things that I've been kicking around with some of the video vendors is the idea in a physical selling environment like a model home or even in a design center, to get more so in a model home, can you get the home buyer, somebody who's shopping that home, to sit down and lean back and experience something, right? To get out of this inspector mentality as they examine the rooms and the closets, but to get somebody to sit down and experience that home and let their guard down a little. So maybe there's an opportunity on the dollar side of things to deliver this option or amenity, but it might also be that investing a little bit to showcase something like a home theater room or even a high performance zone could sell more houses for you by getting the buyer into the right framework. So that's just an idea that I have. I'd love to get your reaction on that. And just like, generally speaking, why should builders care about this category and do something?
Well, my whole career has been working with builders on how to differentiate themselves, whether it was in the MDU market where you're always competing with someone, another builder, another developer, and each of them needs to kind of figure out what they're going to stand for. And ultimately, home entertainment and working from home is a reality. We are now in a space where even after the pandemic is over, there's employers that are going to say, hey, this is good. My team could work from their home. We need to kind of have builders understand that that's going to happen more and more. If you are one of those builders who are the first to kind of introduce your brand as standing for this technology, you'll be differentiated. Think about some of the rooms that you may have left off your plans. Maybe put in a room for distant learning, and recognize that children are going to continue to learn. Even parents are going to learn distant. And then you need to also think about these rooms for dual purpose. We've already talked about is your living room or your family room, your gathering room may have the need for additional sensors, lighting, different things that you never cared about when you were just building a home for an individual. Now you're really building it for a family that needs to work there, learn there, and play there. One area that I've seen a big change is outdoor entertainment. And I'm sure the video manufacturers saw the same thing. Any night I listen, I go outside and we have to stay home, but I can hear my neighbors all playing their movies outside. So they have their entertainment system now outside. So I also think there's an opportunity not just in the house, but outside of the house to include zones of music and multimedia for the way people are going to live.
Yeah. What do you think the builder's margin opportunity is? And I really think it needs to be more holistic than just like a video display, but it's really for an AV setup, a high performance AV setup. I mean, are we talking about 30 points of margin for a builder?
Again, I don't sell direct to them. I have a dealer and a distributor sometimes in between it. Yeah. But I will tell you from an audio perspective, we calculate in everyone in the food chain, and we calculate in a builder, a designer. So the dealer has the ability to make his or her margin and share some of that with the builder community. So, there's enough margin, not that we make, expensive products with a whole lot of margin, but we understand the market, and we understand there's multiple people consuming in the food chain.
Yeah. So how
But
do they work with
margin, I think besides the margin, I think you also look at will your home sell faster? You know, the idea is, you know, when I was dealing with the developers, it was how fast you could turn. You know, if you're going to invest something, you could put that money in a bank, you could put it into a home. If you're going to put it into the home, how fast is it going to be before you sell it? Will the retail value of the home increase based on, you know, the differences? So it's not just the margin on the products you're putting in, it's the value proposition and the upside of selling the home faster, having referrals to you know, to other potential home buyers. Those are the intangibles that we can't, you know, put on the financial spreadsheets, but they're real. Yeah. And that was one part of my education working with the builders. I need to sell my house as fast as possible. Sitting on the MLS for weeks and months, that's capital that I could have invested in another project.
Right.
So
and how builders would work with your channel partners, your integrators and dealers versus directly with Harman, or do you get involved at any level, and at the design and specification level? Do you have marketing tool sets? I'm a big fan of manufacturers not just creating partnerships with builders or working through their integrators, but really facilitating on the sell-through side of things, or if something's being incorporated as a standard, now how does that get leveraged in the marketing and sales process for the home? What do you guys have, any sort of soft forms of assistance that you do deliver directly? Or
absolutely. So we really count on our dealer to make the relationship, and then our role as a supplier manufacturer is to do the education and to create the assets for marketing and for, you know, sales models and stuff like that to be able to support so I challenge my team constantly to figure out, you know, how do we educate the builder, the architect, the designer on all these different you know, the formats and what's available. So from an education, I can't expect the dealer to provide that. That's something that we should be able to do as a group to educate. And then, you know, we'll fund the education. We'll put white papers on our websites. So we control our own destiny when it comes to education, but the dealer's still the integral for our business.
Yeah, and do you think demos are critical in the selling process? I mean, you're not going to get to a high-end audio buy without.
Yeah, I think it's critical that there's either a model home or at least a previous homeowner that will allow you to come in. You know, a lot of times if you don't have a model home, you've got to rely on a previous referral, and a lot of times people are open to show off their product. Yeah. But demos are critical, and that's why you got to at least have, we mentioned having a room in a model home that can do that, deliver an experience. Yeah. And it's not just I don't know, the topic today is home theater and home cinema, but I challenge the builders to really think about all the opportunities that technology can be presented in their homes.
And what are you guys using for demo material these days? What's your favorite?
What's our favorite? So
demo material.
We still use the what's available from our DTS, all our different partners in processing. You know, we're partners of really every codec. They really create some great content. So music videos to me are still the most exciting thing. I love music. You know, we're all about live music, and at JBL especially. So listening to a great, you know, music concert in multi-channel still, you know, exciting to me. You know, most recently, you know, the release of Stars Born, hearing stuff like that in a home cinema is just, you know, spine tingling in a way, because you feel like you're there, but you have the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. I will tell you, the most effective demo I ever saw at a trade show was at CES, and it was not a big name manufacturer. It was a small booth. It was a 1020. and they started playing from the concert for George Harrison, the tribute concert.
Yep. With all the different musicians.
My Sweet Lord. People just started like coming in like bees on honey just to watch this and listen to this demo. It was this, it's a magical musical moment.
Yeah.
My Sweet Lord. I remember I was a kid when but it was the only thing on the radio literally for 3 months. That was the only song you heard. And it must have been embedded in all these other heads because people just came flowing to watch this demo. So I'm always looking for a good demo out there.
Well, I will send you some great demos. I mean, I loved Roger Waters has some great demos material that you could from his concert in Germany, the Wall concert. It's really a good video, and you just mentioned a couple others, but watching a great music experience is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the future is concerts. They won't even be recorded media. It's going to be live concerts, live theater, as you mentioned already.
I think too, like these viewing parties, like small group viewing parties right now, not big group viewing parties. But I think that the industry could do a better job of explaining how to do those things. I think it's a small fraction of the population that kind of knows how to organize a watch party. We could provide a little bit more of a how-to sheet to end users out there. Maybe we'll get even bigger usage of some of these AV.
Maybe that's what the builder should do. Maybe the builder should host it at his model home.
Great idea.
And what better way to get someone excited about a viewing party than in the builder's model home?
There we go.
We would be happy to help outfit that demo home for them. So.
All right. Well, we'll have somebody contact you about that. But see, when you go down these rabbit holes, you end up someplace practical. That's what I believe. My staff doesn't necessarily believe that all the time, but I believe it. And I want to thank you for spending some time. This was a short stream for you to join us today, but I appreciate the conversation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person one of these days. And good luck to Harman and all you're trying to do with your line, and especially with your relationships with builders. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Have a good day.